Hello, I'm Joanna North. I'm a psychotherapist and psychologist. Welcome to my Kind podcast. This is a series for parents based on my book, Kind, Your Child's Mental Health. Each week I'll be answering questions from parents under different topics. See the podcast description for how to send me your questions and for the link to my book. And subscribe now so that you don't miss future episodes. Hello, it's Jo North, and we're looking at kind parenting. In this week's podcast, we're going to be thinking about how to help our children feel strong and secure, and also how to help ourselves feel strong and secure, because you'll have gathered by now that kind parenting is about looking to yourself first and your own needs so that you're in a strong position to help your children. So there's a lot of talk these days about attachment security, and this week's podcast is going to address everything about creating security in your children, and in fact addressing the question, what does that mean? And as usual, we're going to address 4 questions sent in by parents, and this is your opportunity to find out what experts are thinking in the field of looking after children. Bearing in mind we're living in a context of difficult times with COVID-19 restrictions still playing on us in the UK at least, and I'm sure around the world. We've had children at home for a long time and they're feeling frustrated and probably very, very unsure. And even the most secure children will be showing signs of insecurity and upset as they head off to school, wondering what's in store for them. Before I start answering questions, let's just look at what it means to have a secure child. And I'm thinking specifically of children between the ages of 7 to 14 at the moment. So that's middle childhood, after which we look at teenage years when things change quite dramatically. And before that, we're looking at preschool years and early infancy, when really the child is relying on a reliable figure such as a parent or carer, somebody that's there for them to meet their needs in a very methodical and sensitive way on a daily minute by minute basis. As children go into middle childhood, things change. They go into school, they start socializing, they start thinking a little bit more for themselves, and they start to think about what goes on inside them, and they notice more what other people are thinking. The world starts to be a more complicated place for them, and it brings big challenges to parenting, and all that in some ways the joy of early infancy, when a child is so highly dependent on you, starts to change and move, and your child starts moving out into the social world and asking all sorts of questions about life and what's going on, and particularly how do I manage. So most of the information that I'm going to give you on security in children in middle childhood is based on the child attachment interview that was developed by Peter Fonagy and his colleagues, and that I've used extensively in my work of assessing and understanding children. And it's a brilliant basically it's a conversation or a dialogue with a child to try and understand what they're thinking about their attachment and their attachment figures. And all the data from that interview tells us some quite clear things. One of the things it's going to tell us is what attachment security looks like. I can tell you from the start that one of the wonderful things about attachment security is that it won't depend on what you earn, and it won't depend on anything you buy your child. In fact, it's a pretty strong prediction of insecurity if we find parents feeling that they've got to buy children lots of fashionable products in order to help them feel good in life. It's not a good predictor, so it's something to think about from the outset. Ultimately, you're not going to make children happy by giving them the things they want all the time. And you are going to make them strong if you help them understand that we can't always have what we want when we want it. I think it's one of the first rules of parenting at this age is that we have to start to challenge children a little bit. We can't it just respond to I want. And that's hard. But I can safely say that I see a lot of parents with children from this age onwards getting to quite big problems with behaviour management because they don't challenge their children. They've forgotten that it's not all about nurture. It's not all about giving a child what they want. Sometimes it's helping them feel strong, that they simply have to be patient and tolerant in themselves. And at this age, they can learn to develop those states, especially if you show them and you help them. And that brings us on to the next key, really, of felt security. The key to felt security is that a child feels my carer or my parent will help me. They will get me through. Even when I'm feeling terribly bad, even when I'm feeling angry about the world, even when I'm feeling angry about them, they will have some patience with my emotions. They will show me some understanding and they will get me through. As a parent, you may recoil in horror thinking, oh my goodness, have I got to tolerate all of that? And the answer is no, you don't. What you have to do is be able to step back and reflect and think about what's going on and then come back to it in a skillful and mindful way when you're ready. As parents, we can't get it all right all the time immediately. And if you think you will, then you're just going to make yourself feel very miserable because it's just not possible. But if as a parent you can step back and consider what's going on and what is needed, then you're much more likely to have children who are thoughtful. And at the end of the day, I think actually that's what we're wanting to achieve. We're wanting to achieve strong, thoughtful children who make a difference in the world and who make a positive impact on the world, rather than children who are desperately out of control and desperately unhappy and don't actually know what they want. So there's the good news. It doesn't depend on what you buy them. It doesn't depend on you being rich or poor. It just depends on you being there and being able to mediate the world with your child. And you don't have to get it right all the time. Sometimes you can have a few goes at these things to get them right. What does security look like? That's our first question from my parent today is, you keep talking about security. What actually does that mean? What actually am I looking for? Does it mean my child is happy all the time? And that's a brilliant question. You know, it's not possible for any of us to be happy all the time, and nor is it healthy. It's great if we've got generally on the whole happy children, but sometimes life is going to bring them things that challenge them and make them have to think about how they're going to respond. Sometimes they're going to have to get on with work, and they're going to have to get on with time frames, and they're going to have to get on with bedtimes, and they're going to have to get off their electronic communications. They're going to have to do all sorts of things they don't want to do. And so that's not about being happy. That's about sucking it up, basically. And if you like, being able to cope with the challenges and restrictions that life also brings. Thanks for the question. And here's a little overview of what security might look like. Children who feel more secure are going to feel accepted, and they are going to feel that their parent or their carer will accept them at all costs and will help them at all costs. That doesn't actually show in any material goods, but it does show in a sort of sense around that felt sense of the child. Hey, I'm okay because I know my mum or dad or carer is going to sort that out for me. So acceptance is a big key to felt security. Secure children will know that adults are going to help them make sense of things. So they will be seen to come to adults and say, I don't get this, I don't understand this, or they might not be quite as sophisticated as that. They might moan and groan, and it might drive you nuts. What are they moaning or groaning about? And in the end, you'll be able to say, okay, I see, this is hard for you, I'm going to help you. But so I think in secure children, you will, that, yeah, they will moan and groan. They won't be quiet. In fact, very, very quiet children who don't sort of moan about anything or complain about anything, often that's a sign of insecurity. They're going to say, hey, I don't like this is wrong, this isn't good for me, and you're going to have to work at it. And this is the thing, it's very time consuming, and you need to be able to manage your input with the child very well, and you need to be able to regulate yourself as you help your child regulate. So yeah, it's a good thing to be inquisitive and to feel that things are wrong and to question, and secure children are going to do that. So we're talking about, what does security look like? You might remember that last week we were looking at emotions, and I think that we can say that secure children, or children who are feeling secure in themselves, will identify emotions. They will be able to label an emotion, and they will be able to tell you about it. Okay, so that's going to be different for every child. So some children are more passionate and more deeply emotional than others. It doesn't really matter the form it comes in, but the child can tell you about an inner state and have some sense that they can come to you with that. They might not come all the time, and obviously children of this age start to keep their own secrets, which is a very important part of their development. But on the whole, if there's a problem going on, they will come to you and they will tell you. So if we see our children coming to us saying, I feel this, and not necessarily a positive state, those secure children are able to identify, sometimes I feel positive, and sometimes I think the whole world is rubbish, and I'm going to tell you about that too. So positive and negative states are going to be coming your way, and this great thing, we want children to be able to label, and we want them, in some respects, to be able to form an opinion as to what's going on around them and be discerning. So the balance of positive and negative tends to be quite apparent in the child's mind. And if we've got a child that's extremely negative all the time, we might start to ask questions about, gosh, there's something tough going on there that we need to help resolve. So I'm not talking about the moaning that might have gone on over COVID, which was going to affect children very deeply, and there's not anything they can do about it. So I think we have to sort of take that into consideration and take that context into consideration. But as parents, I know you will have been pushed, but you will have been finding ways to help your child resolve problems. And again, attachment security is found in the interactions between parent and child, or carer and child. And these are the kind of activities that parents are coming up with as in response to the calls from their children. Children of this age are also starting to think about the minds of others and what is going on in the minds of others, and being curious about people's thinking. And it's incredibly helpful if they've got parents that can help them to do that. What is my friend thinking when she seemed to be in a bad mood with me? Or what was my friend thinking when he kicked me in the playground and I thought he liked me? Children are going to want to work those conundrums out, and it's important that they bring that to you. So in total, we're looking at children who have a sense that they can rely on you for the small problems that seem big to them, a sense that they can come to you. And at times, as a parent, that's going to feel overwhelming, and that's going to feel too much. And that's right, of course. But a parent has a responsibility to put those needs first, and make sure that they're showing their child that they can cope too. And this is a big tall order. But I think the thing is that parents need to remember that there's a range of skills in parenting. So it's super if we can, when we're being the empathic and kind parent and that's working, that's absolutely fantastic. But sometimes we have to be the tough parent, and we have to challenge our children. We have to, put sanctions in place, like taking the telly off them if they're really, really misbehaving. We have to be tough too. And I think that parents forget to keep that balance, and they can get dismissing of a child. They can say, hey, look, I've given you stuff, I've put the telly on, I've done this, and you're still not happy. And I think when that starts to arise, you'll probably have to think, maybe I need to take something off my child. Maybe life's a little bit too easy. That maybe they feel that I'm not connected with them. So parenting is, as I say, a range of different states. You connect with your child, you engage with your child, you challenge your child, and you set life up so that it helps them feel secure and enables them to grow and develop. And some days you're going to fall down on that, but if you get it right most of the time, you'll be doing a great job. So that answers the question from my parent there that said, what does security look like? What am I looking for? You're looking at interactions that your child has with you, and you're looking at how you respond to them. These podcasts are based on my book, Mind Kind, Your Child's Mental Health, published by Exile and available on Amazon. You can find the book link in the podcast description. So another great question has come in from a single parent who says, I'm a single parent of a child, and is that enough to make a child secure? Does a child need two parents? And thank you so much for that brilliant question. And the answer is absolutely. If a child has one reliable parent, that's perfectly good enough. It's great to have two because it's not quite so tiring for the parent, but one's absolutely fine. And also, one parent of any description is great. It doesn't matter whether you're a couple or whether you're single or whether you're gay parents or straight parents or transgender parents, or if none of these things actually matter. What matters is that you're there with the intention of addressing the needs of your child on a reliable basis. I think the only thing I would say about single parenting, having once been a single parent myself, is that just you need some backup. If you can get someone, friends or family or anybody reliable and safe to back you up, that's a nice thing. But no, be assured, if you're a single parent, you can do the job just as well. Please don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss future episodes. And if you can rate the podcast in your podcast app, that will help spread the word and help more parents. Another question from a parent is that, okay, so I really try hard to be the best parent I can be, and some days I just don't know how to respond when my child is really naughty. And yeah, of course, that's the parenting question, isn't it? It's great when they're well behaved, fantastic. We all know what to do then, but some days they're just going to not see the boundaries, they're going to go over the limits, they're going to push the limits, and they're going to push the boundaries, and that's normal. What you need to bear in mind is it's normal for children to push and push and push, and it's normal for them to maximize what they get. So they always want more, because it's kind of natural to make sure you get the most you can out of life, the most love out of your parents, the most attention out of your parents. And the key is that they want your attention more than anything. And I think that if you find your child is pushing the limit, then it's possible that they might need more attention in the right place. And so it's up to you to just check it out, what is needed at that moment. Firstly, it's not okay to be unpleasant and badly behaved, and that needs challenging, and your child needs feedback on that. And secondly, if they're not going to listen, then you might have to put them in a context in which they will listen, like cut out the phone or cut out whatever it is they're playing with, and sit down and focus and help them listen to you. Tell them exactly what it is you want, give them a chance to change their mind about their behavior, and then see if you can sit with them while they regulate the emotion of anger, or the emotion or the excitement indeed of having pushed you, because there's a kind of energy in that that's quite exciting for children. They have to be stopped sometimes. They just have to be stopped from going too far. And again, that's the burden of parenting, that you have to put in the boundaries and limits. I would say that if you've got a child that you're referring to as naughty, or a child that's certainly not behaving in an appropriate way, it's probably time for you to reflect on how you draw limits, how you draw boundaries, how you give them feedback, and how particularly you say no. And there's a big word in the English language, or certainly in the English spoken language. In fact, I would think in any language across the globe, and that is no. And we all have to be able to hear that. And I know that we want to be loving and kind, and we want to give and give and give. But in the end, if you just keep doing that, it does not work. And you will be amazed at the magic you get if you can sit down and think, hang on a minute, are my boundaries in the right place? Because if you can pull in boundaries, your child will be able to as well. And we all need to be able to do that. We all need to draw limits. We need to draw limits for ourselves. We need to tell others limits. And that is what makes us cope. It's what regulates us. It's what puts the thermostat right. Just as, say, for example, calling time on bedtime is the big one, isn't it? Yes, you will go to bed on time because I know that's good for you, but your child's going to want to push that limit. So I would say it's time for reflection if you're getting continuous behaviour that's unacceptable to you. Don't let your child continue to engage in unacceptable behaviour. You will do them no favours. Sit down and think about where you're going to draw the limits. Thank you so much for that question. Please email me your questions. There's a link in the podcast description. Don't worry, I won't use names or personal examples. I will collate the information and create general questions for each episode under a different topic. Another parent has written in the fourth question for our podcast on helping children find security. And this parent has said, can you give me some shortcuts? I love that question. We all want shortcuts, don't we? And so thank you for that. I guess you were, why not go straight to the point? Sometimes we need the long route. Some aspects of child development are the long journey, but today you want the shortcuts. And I would say if you're searching around thinking, oh my goodness, where am I going wrong? What shall I do? Try and remember this, that the thing that your child really wants from you is your attention. They will forego their lunch probably in order to have attention. They will do anything to get your attention. They will misbehave to get your attention. They will really, I won't go into details to what children can do in order to gain your focused, sensitive, kind, loving attention. Now, you can't be doing that 24 hours a day because that's just not possible. But if you try to find times in the day when you can inject that, if you like, when you just decide I'm dropping everything else, I'm putting my phone down, I'm putting my work down, I'm shutting everything off. My child is having my focused attention. You will soothe them and calm them. They will feel connected with you. They will feel engaged with you, and they will feel nurtured by you. And then when you've given them that piece of time, you can send them off to get on for a little while by themselves. But children can't do too long by themselves, and you have to remember that. You need to be close by, you need to be reliable. They need those sharp injections of your amazing attention. That's for free, but it's a difficult thing for parents in this day and age because we're all so busy and we're all pressed and stretched, and parents find themselves in difficult circumstances, short of money, short of time, under pressure, and it's hard to remember, hey, I wonder if I just drop everything now and give this child some attention, things might come right. But it's got to be the right kind of attention at the right time. Another way to help you take a few direct roads into getting this thing right with your children is to think about the quality of the relationship that you're creating with them. Is it constantly fractious and full of angry interactions, and are there too many of those in a day? And do you resent your child? You need to take note of the quality of the state of mind you bring to parenting. There's the shortcut. And if it is too negative, you need to, if you want to get this right, you need to reflect on that and see and think about, maybe talk with somebody, maybe reflect on how you can bring kinder, softer emotions into the mind of your child, because the mind of the child depends on the mind of the adult. And if you can't bring soothing, and if you're constantly angry with your child, then they're simply going to be angry children, and that's not good for you, and it's not good for anybody. And we often find when we're helping parents that parents have got into a sort of mutual dysregulation, that the child dysregulates the parent and the parent dysregulates the child. It's an extremely unhappy place to be. And really, Mindkind is there to address this. And you're going to have small episodes of that. That is going to happen, even in the most amazing parenting. There are going to be episodes of that. But I would say to you this: always step back. If you feel that your state of mind is not grown up enough, not soothing enough, not mindful enough, step back, give yourself a break, talk to somebody, make sure your child is safe, don't abandon them, but just step back a bit and see what you can bring that's soothing and calm. What I'm always saying to parents is, don't engage in arguments with your children that dysregulate them, because you've got to remember that there's a big power differential, that you are the powerful grown up with the mind that's working, and children are searching for answers, and they're looking to us for authority, and they are looking to us to manage them. I think in this day and age we forget that. And so if you're wanting these shortcuts, it's just like, get in touch with what you bring in your mind to this journey, and see what you can put right there. So it's a self-reflective invitation. You're going to have to reflect on what goes on for you and where you think you might need to develop. Now, we all need areas for self-development all the time. That's what evolution's about. We're developing and we're growing. And see, maybe you are not maybe you're a kind and loving parent, but maybe you're not an assertive parent. Or maybe you're extremely directive and authoritarian parent, but you're not, you forget the kind and loving bit. Or maybe you give a lot of stuff away, to keep your children quiet, and you've forgotten that that's actually not really what they want. Or maybe you're absolutely preoccupied with a great big struggle, and that happens in life. And my thoughts are with parents who are struggling right now. I would say the best thing you can do is get support for yourself, so that you can find some energy back for your child. And I know that's, perhaps call on charities, or call on helplines, or call on friends, or call on family, people who are going to be safe and secure and help you in a really positive way. Basically, the shortcut is get in touch with what's going on in your own mind, so you can then help your children be secure. Ultimately, we want our parenting to be quite organised, quite coherent. Not all the time, but most of the time it's got to be predictable, and it's got to show children that we're like a clock. Now, that's pretty boring, isn't it? You don't want to be like that all the time, but actually we've got to find that in ourselves. Take some time out with a babysitter if you to let your hair down and let go of the responsibility every now and then, of course. But children they want and need reliability in us, and that's actually the core and the key to the lock of helping children feel secure. So that's the end of our podcast today on helping children find security. We're talking felt sense of security inside themselves, so they wake up and cope with their day thinking, oh, well, I might not be feeling that great, but I think I'm going to get through. And you need to find that too. And I look forward to all the questions you're going to send in for our next podcast. I'm going to be working with one of my colleagues, and we're going to be looking at culture and the impact of discrimination on the mental health of children. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to get in touch or have questions for future episodes, please email me. There is a link in the podcast description. You can also find out more about my book, Mindkind, Your Child's Mental Health. Take care.